Welcome to Tech with Kaushik. This is part 13 of our complete practice question series for the AIF-C01 AWS Certified AI Practitioner exam. Choose your answer before the timer ends, then review the correct answer, explanation, and exam tip. Let us begin part 13. Question number 334. Find the decisive clue before choosing. This question focuses on inference latency. Look for the wording that eliminates the distractors. An automotive manufacturer will deploy a pre-trained crash severity classifier on a vehicle's onboard computer. The model must return a prediction within a strict latency target, and the team will not retrain or fine-tune it. Which criterion is most important when selecting the model and deployment configuration? Watch for distractors that are valid services but wrong for this scenario. Consider option A. The measured inference latency on the target onboard hardware. Consider option B. The number of model parameters considered by itself. Consider option C. The temperature parameter used for text generation. Consider option D. The model's ability to accept few short examples. The option that satisfies the complete requirement is A. The measured inference latency on the target onboard hardware. Here is the reasoning that confirms the answer. The requirement is an end-to-end response time limit. Benchmarking inference on the actual hardware directly verifies whether the selected model, runtime, and optimizations meet that limit. The incorrect choices are plausible, but unsuitable because B. Parameter count can influence speed and memory use, but it is only a proxy. Architecture, hardware, runtime, and optimizations also affect latency. C. Temperature controls output variability for generative models, not classifier response time. D. Few-shot prompting is unrelated to this deployed classifier's latency target. When a workload has a response time requirement, compare measured inference latency on the intended deployment environment, not model size alone. Question number 335. Contains an important exam distinction. Focus on the requirement that drives the design choice. A healthcare technology company is building machine learning models to assess patient risk. Regulatory guidelines mandate that the model's predictions must be explainable and the model's intended uses and limitations must be clearly documented and shared with stakeholders. Which combination of Amazon SageMaker features should the company use to meet these transparency requirements? Choose two. More than one answer may be correct, so evaluate every option. Focus on which option satisfies the complete requirement. Option A. Amazon SageMaker Clarify. Option B. Amazon SageMaker Model Cards. Option C. Amazon SageMaker Pipelines. Option D. Amazon SageMaker Model Monitor. Option E. Amazon SageMaker Debugger. The correct choice is A. Amazon SageMaker Clarify. B. Amazon SageMaker Model Cards. The requirement to solution match is Amazon SageMaker Clarify provides tools to detect bias and explain model predictions, fulfilling the requirement for explainability. Amazon SageMaker Model Cards allow teams to create standardized, centralized documentation detailing a model's intended use, risk ratings, and limitations, fulfilling the transparency requirement. Now eliminate the distractors. C. SageMaker Pipelines orchestrates CI/CD workflows for machine learning. It does not directly explain models or document them. D. A SageMaker Model Monitor detects data and concept drift in production over time, not primarily serving as an explainability or documentation tool. E. SageMaker Debugger helps identify bottlenecks and errors during the model training process, not providing explainability to end stakeholders. Watch for this clue in similar questions. For responsible AI in SageMaker, use Clarify for bias explainability and model cards for transparency documentation. Question number 336. Focus. A developer is configuring an AI chatbot to assist users with troubleshooting software issues. The developer writes a set of instructions instructing the model to always answer in a professional tone, never provide legal advice, and act as a senior technical support engineer. What is the primary purpose of this type of configuration, known as a system prompt? Compare. Option A. To define the persona, rules, and behavioral boundaries of the AI application. Option B. To authenticate the end user before providing access to the generative AI model. Option C. To securely compress the model's output data to reduce transmission latency. Option D. To introduce randomness into the model's responses to make interactions more human-like. The best answer is A. To define the persona, rules, and behavioral boundaries of the AI application. This option satisfies the complete requirement because system prompts, or system instructions, are used at the application level to establish the context, persona, tone, and strict boundaries, such as, do not give legal advice, that guide how the foundation model responds to all subsequent user inputs. B. System prompts do not handle user authentication or security access to the application. IAM or identity providers handle authentication. C. System prompts do not compress data, they provide text-based instructions to the model. D. Temperature and TOPI parameters are used to introduce randomness, not system prompts. Remember this decision rule. System prompts act as the overarching instructions for an AI model, defining its role, for example, you are a helpful assistant, and the rules it must follow. For question number 337. Separate the requirement from the distractors. We are moving to ML learning types. Identify the decisive constraint before considering the options. A computer vision team has a foundation model that was originally trained on millions of general internet images to identify basic shapes and objects. The team now needs to modify this model so it can accurately identify specific defects in manufacturing assembly line photos. What is the term for the technique of adapting a pre-trained model to a new, related task? Eliminate every option that violates even one requirement. Next, Option A, transfer learning. Next, Option B, reinforcement learning. Next, Option C, hyperparameter tuning. Next, Option D, unsupervised learning. The required response is A, transfer learning. Transfer learning is the machine learning technique where a model developed for one task, for example, general object recognition, is reused as the starting point for a model on a second, related task, for example, defect detection. Fine-tuning is a specific application of transfer learning. The remaining options fail one or more requirements because B, reinforcement learning involves training an agent through a system of rewards and penalties based on actions taken in an environment. C, hyperparameter tuning is the process of finding the optimal configuration values, like learning rate, before training begins, not the act of adapting a pre-trained model. D, unsupervised learning involves training on unlabeled data to find hidden patterns, not adapting a pre-existing trained model to a new task. Exam strategy. Transfer learning allows organizations to save massive amounts of compute time and data collection effort by leveraging the broad knowledge already encoded in a foundation model. Approach question number 338. By checking every constraint. Pay attention to qualifiers such as least, most, and minimum. A legal firm uses an AI assistant to summarize case files. the model sometimes invents plausible but non-existent legal precedents. To reduce this risk, the firm implements retrieval augmented generation (RAG) with trusted legal sources. Which limitation of large language models (LLMs) is the firm trying to mitigate? Compare the options by fit, not by familiarity. Next, option A, hallucination. Next, option B, non-determinism. Next, option C, latency. Next, option D, context window limits. After elimination, select A, hallucination. The key clue points here because a hallucination is plausible sounding but unsupported or incorrect generated content. RAG retrieves relevant information from trusted sources and supplies it as context, which can improve grounding and reduce hallucinations without changing model weights. Check why each remaining option is not the best fit. B. Non-determinism means repeated requests can produce different wording. C. Latency is response delay and can increase slightly when retrieval is added. D. A context window limits the token budget available to the model. RAG still must operate within that limit. Use this elimination rule in the exam. RAG can reduce hallucinations by grounding generation in retrieved evidence, but the application must still evaluate outputs because RAG does not guarantee correctness. Let's analyze question number 339. Next, we enter the topic of responsible AI principles. Review the scenario and identify what must be achieved. A human resources technology company develops an AI screening tool to review resumes. During testing, the team discovers that the model consistently scores resumes lower if they indicate the applicant is female, even when all other qualifications are identical. According to AWS Responsible AI Guidelines, which principle does this behavior violate? Use the scenario constraints to assess these choices. Option A is fairness. Option B is explainability. Option C is privacy and security. Option D is robustness. The required response is A, fairness. The decisive reason is fairness in AI involves ensuring that systems do not disproportionately harm or disadvantage specific demographic groups based on attributes like gender, race, or age. A model that scores females lower for identical qualifications is demonstrating bias and violating the principle of fairness. Here is how to rule out the alternatives. B. Explainability refers to understanding how a model makes a decision, not whether the decision is discriminatory. C. Privacy and security refer to protecting the underlying data and systems from unauthorized access or breaches. D. Robustness refers to the model's ability to maintain performance when faced with unexpected inputs or adversarial attacks. A useful exam pattern is this. Addressing demographic bias, discrimination, and equitable outcomes always maps to the responsible AI principle of fairness. Question number 340. Tests careful elimination. Look for the wording that eliminates the distractors. An enterprise is deploying a new generative AI application. The Chief Sustainability Officer has mandated that the new AI workload must minimize its carbon footprint and overall environmental impact. Which strategy aligns best with this sustainability requirement? Eliminate every option that violates even one requirement. Consider option A, optimize the model's architecture and inference parameters to maximize computational efficiency. Consider option B, deploy multiple copies of the model across every available availability zone. Consider option C, route all user queries randomly to different foundation models to balance the workload. Consider option D, store all training datasets persistently across both AWS and on-premises data centers. The option that satisfies the complete requirement is A. Optimize the model's architecture and inference parameters to maximize computational efficiency. Here is the reasoning that confirms the answer. The sustainability pillar emphasizes using resources efficiently. Right-sizing the model, reducing unnecessary computation, and limiting unneeded output can lower processor time, energy consumption, and environmental impact. The incorrect choices are plausible, but unsuitable because B. Deploying unnecessary copies can increase idle resources and energy use. C. Randomly routing requests among models does not ensure that the most efficient model is selected and can increase operational waste. D. Duplicating datasets across environments increases storage and data transfer consumption without directly improving efficiency. For AI sustainability, use the smallest suitable model, right-size infrastructure, and avoid unnecessary training, inference, storage, and data movement. Next is question number 341. The focus now shifts to text evaluation metrics. A news organization uses an Amazon SageMaker machine learning pipeline to automatically translate English news articles into Spanish and French. The data science team needs to establish a metric to evaluate the quality of the generated translations against professional human translations. Which metric is specifically designed for evaluating machine translation quality? The choices are: Choice A, Bilingual Evaluation Understudy, blue. Choice B, Recall-Oriented Understudy for Gisting Evaluation, rouge. Choice C, Area Under the Rock Curve, AUC. Choice D, Root Mean Square Error, RMSE. The correct choice is A, Bilingual Evaluation Understudy, blue. The requirement to solution match is blue. Bilingual Evaluation Understudy is a standard metric used specifically to evaluate the quality of text that has been machine translated from one language to another. It compares the AI's translation against one or more high-quality human reference translations. Now eliminate the distractors. B. Rouge, Recall-Oriented Understudy for Gisting Evaluation, is primarily used to evaluate automatic summarization tasks, not the translation quality between languages. C. AUC, Area Under the Rock Curve, is used to evaluate binary classification models, not text generation or translation. D. RMSE, Root Mean Square Error, is a metric for regression models, measuring the distance between predicted numerical values and actual values. Watch for this clue in similar questions. Memorize the text evaluation metrics. Blue is for translation, rouge is for summarization. Question number 342. Identify the requirement in this scenario. An agricultural research firm is analyzing satellite imagery of farmland to identify different types of vegetation health. The firm does not have any historical labeled data indicating which pixels represent healthy or unhealthy crops. They need a model to automatically group similar pixels together based on their spectral signatures. Which machine learning technique is appropriate for this task? Review the options. Option A, clustering. Option B, decision trees. Option C, logistic regression. Option D, supervised classification. The best answer is A, clustering. This option satisfies the complete requirement because the data is entirely unlabeled, no prior tags indicating healthy versus unhealthy, supervised learning cannot be used. Clustering is an unsupervised machine learning technique that automatically groups data points, in this case, image pixels, that have similar characteristics without needing predefined labels. B. Decision trees are a supervised learning algorithm that require labeled data to learn classification rules. C. Logistic regression is a supervised statistical method used for binary classification, which requires labeled data. D. Supervised classification inherently requires a dataset where the correct answers, labels, are already provided. Remember this decision rule. When you need to group data into categories but do not have labeled examples, the solution is unsupervised learning, specifically clustering, like k-means. Let's break down question number 343. This question moves us into Amazon Nova models. First, locate the key operational constraint. A startup is choosing a foundation model from the Amazon Nova family. They need an extremely fast, cost-effective model to process user chat messages. However, they also plan to introduce a feature where users can upload images for the AI to describe. The startup is deciding between Nova Micro and Nova Lite. Which characteristic distinguishes the capabilities of these two models? Now compare the choices one requirement at a time. Choice A. Nova Lite supports multimodal inputs like images and video, while Nova Micro is a text-only model. Choice B. Nova Micro uses a transformer architecture, while Nova Lite relies on traditional statistical algorithms. Choice C. Nova Lite requires GPU instances for inference, while Nova Micro can only run on CPU instances. Choice D. Nova Micro is designed for numerical tabular data, while Nova Lite is optimized exclusively for text. After elimination, select A. Nova Lite supports multimodal inputs like images and video, while Nova Micro is a text-only model. Within the Amazon Nova family, Nova Micro is a highly efficient, text-only model optimized for speed and lowest cost. Nova Lite is the most cost-effective multimodal model in the family, capable of processing text, images, and video. The remaining options fail one or more requirements because B. Both models are based on modern transformer foundation model architectures, not traditional statistical algorithms. C. Foundation models of this size require GPU accelerator instances for efficient inference. Neither is restricted exclusively to CPU. D. Neither model is designed specifically for numerical tabular data. Both are generative AI models. Exam strategy. For Amazon Nova models, Micro is text-only and fastest, cheapest. Lite, Pro, and Premier are multimodal, handling image and video inputs alongside text. For question number 344. Separate the requirement from the distractors. Identify the decisive constraint before considering the options. A logistics company wants to build a generative AI tool that can accept a natural language request from a manager, search a database for shipping delays, format the delayed shipments into a CSV file, and automatically email that file to the warehouse team. Which AWS capability allows the generative AI model to autonomously orchestrate this multi-step process and execute API actions? Compare the options by fit, not by familiarity. Next, option A, agents for Amazon Bedrock. Next, option B, Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart. Next, option C, Amazon Bedrock Knowledge Bases. Next, option D, AWS Glue Data Brew. The correct choice is A, agents for Amazon Bedrock. The key clue points here because agents for Amazon Bedrock can orchestrate complex, multi-step tasks. An agent can take a natural language prompt, break it down into logical steps, query external databases like OpenSearch via APIs, format the data, and trigger external actions like sending an email autonomously. Check why each remaining option is not the best fit. B. Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart provides pre-trained models but does not inherently provide the orchestration engine to autonomously plan and execute API calls. C. Amazon Bedrock Knowledge Bases provide RAG, document retrieval, but do not execute actions, write CSVs, or send emails. D. AWS Glue is a visual data preparation tool, not a generative AI orchestration service. Use this elimination rule in the exam. When an AI application needs to execute a sequence of actions, call APIs, or interact with external systems based on a user prompt, the solution is agents for Amazon Bedrock. Now tackle question number 345. The focus now shifts to foundation model modalities. Scenario: a media company is evaluating foundation models available on Amazon Bedrock. They require a highly capable model that can natively process and comprehend complex multimodal inputs, including long text documents, high-resolution images, and video clips. Which foundation model natively supports text, image, and video comprehension? Compare the options. Option A, Amazon Nova Pro. Option B, Amazon Titan Text G1 Express. Option C, Amazon Titan Multimodal Embeddings G1. Option D, Amazon Nova Micro. The required response is A, Amazon Nova Pro. The decisive reason is Amazon Nova Pro is a highly capable, state-of-the-art multimodal foundation model. It is designed to natively ingest, process, and comprehend a mixture of text, high-resolution images, and video content. Here is how to rule out the alternatives. B. Amazon Titan Text G1 Express is a text-only model and does not process images or video. C. Amazon Titan Multimodal Embeddings G1 generates embeddings for text and images, but it does not natively process video or generate textual comprehension responses. D. Amazon Nova Micro is a text-only model. It lacks the multimodal image and video processing capabilities of the larger Nova models. A useful exam pattern is this. Know the modalities of key AWS models: Titan Text, Titan Multimodal Embeddings, Text Image, Nova Micro, Text, Nova Lite Pro Premier, Text Image Video. Approach question number 346. By checking every constraint. Pay attention to qualifiers such as least, most, and minimum. A financial institution needs to generate summary reports for 50,000 distinct customer portfolios using a large language model on Amazon Bedrock. The reports do not need to be generated in real time, the job can run overnight. The engineering team wants to execute this using a single API submission with the least development effort. Which approach meets these requirements? Watch for distractors that are valid services but wrong for this scenario. Consider option A. Use Amazon Bedrock batch inference to process the dataset asynchronously. Consider option B. Use agents for Amazon Bedrock to recursively loop through the dataset. Consider option C. Write an AWS Lambda function to submit each prompt sequentially to the real-time inference API. Consider option D. Provision a dedicated throughput instance and stream the results synchronously. The option that satisfies the complete requirement is A. Use Amazon Bedrock batch inference to process the dataset asynchronously. Here is the reasoning that confirms the answer. Amazon Bedrock batch inference allows users to submit a large number of prompts stored in an S3 bucket in a single API call. The model processes the requests asynchronously and saves the outputs back to S3. This requires minimal development effort and is highly cost-effective for non-real-time tasks. The incorrect choices are plausible, but unsuitable because B. Bedrock agents are designed for orchestrating multi-step actions and tool use, not for bulk processing a static dataset of prompts. C. Writing a Lambda function to loop through 50,000 real-time API calls requires significantly more development effort, introduces error handling complexity, and may hit rate limits. D. Provisioning dedicated throughput is expensive and unnecessary if the task does not require real-time, synchronous performance. For large volumes of non-time sensitive generative AI tasks, always choose Amazon Bedrock batch inference. Question number 347. Find the decisive clue before choosing. Look for the wording that eliminates the distractors. A company is designing an internal knowledge base assistant and is debating whether to fine-tune a model or use retrieval augmented generation, RAG. Which statement correctly describes the RAG technique? Compare the options by fit, not by familiarity. Consider option A. RAG queries external knowledge sources to provide a foundation model with relevant context at inference time without modifying the model's weights. Consider option B. RAG uses a vector database to continuously update the parameters of a large language model in real time. Consider option C. RAG is a method of generating synthetic data to be used later for supervised fine-tuning. Consider option D. RAG restricts a language model to only use its original training data to guarantee faster response times. After elimination, select A. RAG queries external knowledge sources to provide a foundation model with relevant context at inference time without modifying the model's weights. The requirement to solution matches RAG retrieves information relevant to the user's request and includes it as inference time context for the foundation model. This can improve grounding and freshness without updating the model's parameters. Now eliminate the distractors. B. A vector store is queried for relevant content. It does not continuously update model weights. C. Synthetic data generation is a separate technique. D. RAG extends the information available at inference time rather than restricting the model to its original training data. Watch for this clue in similar questions. RAG changes the context supplied at inference time, whereas fine-tuning changes model weights. Retrieved context can improve accuracy but does not guarantee it. Move to question number 348. We are moving to AI governance. Review the scenario. A healthcare provider is establishing a center of excellence for artificial intelligence. The organization wants to ensure that all internal AI solutions are developed responsibly and can be trusted by both practitioners and patients. Which approach best aligns with regulatory standards for trustworthy AI management? Choice A. Implement mechanisms to ensure fairness, transparency, and security across the entire AI life cycle. Choice B. Restrict involvement in AI development strictly to data scientists, excluding legal and business stakeholders. Choice C. Conceal the mechanics of model decision-making from users to protect intellectual property. Choice D. Focus exclusively on selecting models that provide the fastest possible inference times. The best answer is A. Implement mechanisms to ensure fairness, transparency, and security across the entire AI life cycle. This option satisfies the complete requirement because developing trustworthy AI requires a holistic governance approach. Organizations must embed responsible AI principles such as fairness, mitigating bias, transparency, explainability and documentation, and security into every phase of the machine learning life cycle, from data collection to deployment. B. Trustworthy AI requires cross-functional collaboration, including legal, compliance, and business stakeholders, to assess risks fully. C. Concealing decision-making violates the principle of transparency and explainability, reducing trust rather than building it. D. While inference speed is a technical metric, it has no bearing on regulatory compliance, ethical use, or trustworthy AI governance. Remember this decision rule. AI governance is not just a technical checklist. It requires continuous oversight of fairness, privacy, security, and transparency throughout the model's entire life cycle. Next, question number 349. Scenario. A developer is writing a generative AI application using Amazon Bedrock. The application accepts large legal contracts as input. The developer wants to allow users to seamlessly switch between different foundation models from various providers within Bedrock. Which model characteristic must the developer carefully account for when switching models to ensure the large contracts can still be processed? Option A. The maximum token count, context window, supported by the model. Option B. The model's compatibility with Amazon Bedrock guardrails. Option C. The ability to adjust temperature and toppy inference parameters. Option D. The pricing model for on-demand inference. The best answer is A. The maximum token count, context window, supported by the model. A model's context window defines the token budget it can process for a request, including the supplied instructions, document content, conversation history, and model-dependent output allowance. Limits vary by model, so a contract that fits one model might exceed another model's limit. The remaining options fail one or more requirements because B. Guardrail compatibility does not determine how much document text the model can process. C. Temperature and toppy affect token sampling, not context capacity. D. Pricing affects cost but does not define the technical token limit. Exam strategy. When switching models for large documents, validate the model-specific context window and reserve enough tokens for the requested output. Question number 350. Tests careful elimination. Next, we enter the topic of ML task types. Pay attention to qualifiers such as least, most, and minimum. A marketing team wants to use machine learning to analyze historical customer interactions, purchases, and demographic data. Select the correct machine learning task type for each business use case. Use the context of each statement to select its drop-down value. The first blank appears in predict the specific dollar amount a customer is likely to spend over the next 12 months. The blank. Choose the stronger fit from 1. Classification, clustering, or regression. The second blank appears in determine whether a user will click a specific email advertisement. The blank. Choose the stronger fit from 2. Classification, clustering, or regression. The third blank appears in segment customers into unlabeled groups based on similar purchasing behavior. The blank. Choose the stronger fit from 3. Classification, clustering, or regression. Question type, drop-down. The correct answer is 1. Regression. 2. Classification. 3. Clustering. Here is why this answer is correct. Regression predicts continuous values, classification predicts predefined categories, and clustering discovers similarity-based groups in unlabeled data. Answer rows. 1. Predict the specific dollar amount a customer is likely to spend over the next 12 months. Select vertical bar regression. Vertical bar. A monetary amount is a continuous numerical target. 2. Determine whether a user will click a specific email advertisement. Select vertical bar. Classification. Vertical bar. Click or no click is a predefined binary category. 3. Segment customers into unlabeled groups based on similar purchasing behavior. Select vertical bar. Clustering. Vertical bar. The algorithm discovers natural groups without target labels. Here is an important exam tip. Continuous number means regression, predefined label means classification, unlabeled grouping means clustering. Next is question number 351. Review the scenario. A business analyst is learning a simplified core ML pipeline that starts with prepared source data and ends with the model's initial production deployment. Monitoring and improvement continue after this sequence. Select the correct step for each position in the simplified pipeline. Complete every statement by matching the requirement to the option. For the first statement, evaluate, the first step in this simplified core pipeline is to the blank. Eliminate between 1. Deploy the model, prepare the data for training, test the model, or train the model. For the second statement, evaluate, the second step in this simplified core pipeline is to the blank. Eliminate between 2. Deploy the model, prepare the data for training, test the model, or train the model. For the third statement, evaluate, the third step in this simplified core pipeline is to the blank. Eliminate between 3. Deploy the model, prepare the data for training, test the model, or train the model. For the fourth statement, evaluate, the fourth step in this simplified core pipeline is to the blank. Eliminate between 4. Deploy the model, prepare the data for training, test the model, or train the model. Question type, drop down. The correct answer is 1. Prepare the data for training. 2. Train the model. 3. Test the model. 4. Deploy the model. Here is why this answer is correct. Data must be prepared before training. The trained model is then evaluated on separate data before it is deployed for production inference. Deployment is followed by ongoing monitoring, feedback, and retraining. Answer rows. 1. The first step in this simplified core pipeline is to select vertical bar, prepare the data for training. Vertical bar, clean and transform the source data before model training. 2. The second step in this simplified core pipeline is to select vertical bar, train the model. Vertical bar, use the prepared data to learn model parameters. 3. The third step in this simplified core pipeline is to select vertical bar, test the model. Vertical bar, evaluate generalization on data that was not used to fit the model. 4. The fourth step in this simplified core pipeline is to select vertical bar, deploy the model. Vertical bar, make the validated model available for production inference. Here is an important exam tip. A simplified sequence is prepare, train, evaluate, and deploy, and the broader ML life cycle then continues with monitoring and improvement. For question number 352, separate the requirement from the distractors. This question moves us into Amazon Q guardrails. Identify the decisive constraint before considering the options. An IT department uses Amazon Q Business as an internal assistant for HR policies. The compliance team wants questions about executive salaries and upcoming mergers to be blocked completely. Which Amazon Q business control should administrators configure? Eliminate every option that violates even one requirement. Next, option A, Amazon Q business topic level controls. Next, option B, Amazon Q cross-account access controls. Next, option C, Amazon Q business document access control lists. Next, option D, Amazon API gateway throttling rules. The correct choice is A, Amazon Q business topic level controls. The key clue points here because topic level controls let administrators define control topics and configure Amazon Q business to block them completely or answer only from approved enterprise sources. A complete block matches the requirement. Check why each remaining option is not the best fit. B. Cross-account controls govern resource administration, not chat topics. C. Document access control lists restrict which indexed content a user can retrieve, but they do not define a conversational topic rule. D. Throttling controls request rate, not response content. Use this elimination rule in the exam. Use Amazon Q business topic level controls for blocked conversational subjects, Use document permissions for user-specific source access. Move to question number 353. An e-commerce company replaces a rules-based recommender with Amazon Personalize. Leadership runs a controlled comparison and wants to quantify the additional sales revenue caused by the new recommendation experience. Which metric most directly measures this business impact? Option A. Incremental revenue lift attributable to users exposed to the new recommendations. Option B. Model inference latency. Option C. Recommendation diversity. Option D. User satisfaction survey score. The required response is A. Incremental revenue lift attributable to users exposed to the new recommendations. The decisive reason is incremental revenue lift compares revenue for users exposed to the new recommendations with an appropriate control group. It directly estimates the additional revenue attributable to the AI feature rather than merely measuring engagement or system performance. Here is how to rule out the alternatives. B. Latency is a technical metric. C. Diversity measures recommendation variety, not commercial value. D. Satisfaction is useful qualitative feedback but does not directly quantify additional revenue. A useful exam pattern is this. Choose a business metric that matches the stated outcome, use incremental revenue or ROI for financial impact, and use latency or accuracy for technical performance. Question number 354. Identify the requirement in this scenario. A regulated financial institution requires a durable, searchable record of API activity performed by data scientists, including creating training jobs and deleting endpoints. The record must be retained beyond the default event history period. Which solution meets this auditing requirement? The choices are: Choice A. Configure an AWS Cloud Trail to deliver management events to Amazon S3 and query the logs with Amazon Athena. Choice B. Use AWS config to record only the current configuration of each machine learning resource. Choice C. Use AWS Trusted Advisor to generate cost and performance recommendations. Choice D. Use Amazon Guard Duty to replace the API audit log with threat findings. The option that satisfies the complete requirement is A. Configure an AWS Cloud Trail to deliver management events to Amazon S3 and query the logs with Amazon Athena. Here is the reasoning that confirms the answer. Cloud Trail records AWS API activity. Delivering trail logs to Amazon S3 provides durable retention, and Athena can search the stored records for compliance investigations beyond the default Cloud Trail event history window. The incorrect choices are plausible, but unsuitable because B. AWS config focuses on resource configuration history and compliance state, not the complete API activity record. C. Trusted Advisor provides recommendations. D. Guard Duty detects suspicious activity but does not replace Cloud Trail's audit events. Use Cloud Trail for who did what and when API auditing. Configure durable storage and a query mechanism when retention and search requirements exceed event history. Start by identifying the requirement in question number 355. Next, we enter the topic of model performance concepts. Read the scenario with the target outcome in mind. A developer is evaluating a new foundation model for a live chat application. The application requires responses to appear almost instantly to keep users engaged. What is the term for the time it takes a pre-trained model to process a prompt and generate a response? Check each option against the exact requirement. Option A is inference latency. Option B is context window. Option C is model fine-tuning. Option D is prompt injection. After elimination, select A. Inference latency. The requirement to solution matches inference latency is the measurement of the time delay between when a user submits a prompt to a deployed model and when the model returns the generated response. Low latency is crucial for real-time applications like chatbots. Now eliminate the distractors. B. The context window is the maximum number of tokens a model can process in one request, not a measurement of speed. C. Model fine-tuning is the process of training a model on new data, not the speed at which it answers questions in production. D. Prompt injection is a security vulnerability where a user attempts to override the system prompt with malicious instructions. Watch for this clue in similar questions. Latency always refers to time delay or speed. Inference latency is how long it takes the AI to think and reply. Work through question number 356. Step by step. Start by separating the facts from the requirement. A streaming service uses a machine learning model to recommend movies to users. During quality assurance testing, analysts notice that the model disproportionately recommends romantic comedies to female users and action movies to male users, indicating potential stereotyping. Which AWS tool is designed specifically to help data scientists detect and investigate this type of model bias? Review the options and eliminate any clear mismatch. Choice A. Amazon SageMaker Clarify. Choice B. Amazon Recognition. Choice C. Amazon Comprehend. Choice D. Amazon Q Developer. The best answer is A. Amazon SageMaker Clarify. This option satisfies the complete requirement because Amazon SageMaker Clarify is a purpose-built feature that helps data scientists detect potential bias in training data and model predictions. It also provides model explainability by analyzing which features, like gender or age, contributed most heavily to a specific recommendation. B. Amazon Recognition is a computer vision service used for image and video analysis, not for investigating bias in tabular recommendation models. C. Amazon Comprehend is an NLP service used for text analysis, sentiment, entities, not for bias detection in ML pipelines. D. Amazon Q Developer is a generative AI assistant for software developers writing code, not a bias evaluation tool. Remember this decision rule. If a scenario involves detecting bias, ensuring fairness, or explaining why an ML model made a specific decision, look for Amazon SageMaker Clarify. Start by identifying the requirement in question number 357. Start by separating the facts from the requirement. An insurance company receives thousands of claims every day as scanned PDFs, faxes, and photos of paper forms. The company wants to automate data entry. Which use case correctly describes intelligent document processing, IDP? Review the options and eliminate any clear mismatch. Choice A. Automatically extracting text, key-value pairs, and table data from the scanned files. Choice B. Performing sentiment analysis on claim text to prioritize dissatisfied customers. Choice C. Using historical data to predict whether a submitted claim is fraudulent. Choice D. Generating synthetic images of claim forms to train vision models. After elimination, select A. Automatically extracting text, key-value pairs, and table data from the scanned files. IDP uses document AI capabilities, such as Amazon Textract, to convert scan or photographed documents into structured text, form fields, and table data that downstream systems can use. The remaining options fail one or more requirements because B. Sentiment analysis evaluates language tone. C. Fraud prediction is a classification or anomaly detection task. D. Synthetic image generation creates training content rather than extracting data from received documents. Exam strategy. Intelligent document processing extracts usable structured information from documents. Amazon Textract is the primary AWS service for forms and tables. Question number 358. Find the decisive clue before choosing. Look for the wording that eliminates the distractors. A retail brand has deployed a sentiment classifier for social media mentions. Consumer slang and language patterns change rapidly over time. According to MLOP's best practices, which action is crucial for maintaining model effectiveness? Watch for distractors that are valid services but wrong for this scenario. Next, option A, continuously monitor production input data and model quality to detect drift. Next, option B, rerun hyperparameter tuning every time the model is invoked. Next, option C, manually perform feature engineering on each live production input. Next, option D, replace the architecture with a deeper neural network every quarter. The correct choice is A, continuously monitor production input data and model quality to detect drift. The key clue points here because monitoring can identify changes in the production data distribution and, when ground truth labels are available, degradation in model quality metrics. These signals help teams decide when to investigate and retrain with representative recent data. Check why each remaining option is not the best fit. B. Tuning on every request is not an inference practice. C. Manual per request feature engineering is not a scalable MLOps control. D. A deeper architecture is not automatically required. Drift can often be addressed through data and retraining changes. Use this elimination rule in the exam. Monitor production data quality and model quality separately. Input drift can be detected without labels, while performance monitoring generally needs ground truth. Focus on the key wording in question number 359. This question moves us into inference parameters. The key exam clue is contained in this scenario. A marketing agency uses a generative AI model to draft social media captions. The team wants more varied and creative captions while limiting each response to a small token budget. How should the developer adjust the inference parameters? The exam distinction is hidden in these choices. Now examine choice A, increase the temperature and decrease the maximum response length. Now examine choice B, decrease the temperature and increase the maximum response length. Now examine choice C, decrease both the temperature and the maximum response length. Now examine choice D, increase both the temperature and the maximum response length. The required response is A, increase the temperature and decrease the maximum response length. The decisive reason is a higher temperature generally increases sampling variability and creativity. A smaller maximum output token setting caps the generated token count and therefore limits response length. Here is how to rule out the alternatives. B. Lower temperature reduces variability and a larger output limit permits longer responses. C. The smaller length limit helps brevity, but lower temperature conflicts with the creativity goal. D. Higher temperature helps variation, but a larger output limit conflicts with the brevity goal. A useful exam pattern is this. Temperature influences variability, maximum output tokens limits token count. Use prompt instructions when an exact structure, such as a sentence count, is required. Question number 360 is a good test of exam judgment. This scenario tests whether you recognize the controlling constraint. A healthcare organization uses Amazon SageMaker Studio and Amazon Bedrock. Network traffic from the SageMaker VPC to Amazon Bedrock model invocation API must not traverse the public internet. Which configuration meets this requirement? Focus on which option satisfies the complete requirement. Now examine choice A. Create Amazon Bedrock Interface VPC endpoints, including the runtime endpoint, using AWS Private Link. Now examine choice B. Configure Amazon Macy to intercept and encrypt Bedrock API traffic. Now examine choice C. Attach IAM policies to change the network route used by Bedrock requests. Now examine choice D. Establish VPC peering with the public Amazon Bedrock service network. The option that satisfies the complete requirement is A. Create Amazon Bedrock Interface VPC endpoints, including the runtime endpoint, using AWS Private Link. Here is the reasoning that confirms the answer. AWS Private Link Interface endpoints expose private IP addresses in the VPC for supported Amazon Bedrock APIs. With the appropriate endpoint, private DNS, routing, and security group configuration, modal invocation traffic can use the AWS network without a public internet path. The incorrect choices are plausible, but unsuitable because B. Macy discovers sensitive data in Amazon S3. It is not a network intermediary. C. IAM controls authorization, not packet routing. D. Bedrock is a managed AWS service and is accessed through supported service endpoints, not VPC peering with an AWS service VPC. Use an interface VPC endpoint powered by AWS Private Link for private access to supported AWS service APIs. Use IAM separately for authorization. Now tackle question number 361. The focus now shifts to foundation models. Scenario: a machine learning team is tasked with building a new generative AI application. The team wants to evaluate and utilize several different foundation models, FMs, from multiple providers through a single API endpoint. Which AWS service provides this capability? Compare the options. Choice A. Amazon Personalize. Choice B. Amazon Q Developer. Choice C. Amazon Bedrock. Choice D. Amazon Recognition. The correct choice is C. Amazon Bedrock. The requirement to solution matches. Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service that offers a choice of high-performing foundation models, FMs, from leading AI companies like AI-21 Labs, Anthropic, Cohere, Meta, Mistral AI, and Amazon, via a single API, making it the primary AWS service for selecting and experimenting with FMs for generative AI. Now eliminate the distractors. A. Amazon Personalize is used to build real-time recommendations, not to provide access to generative AI foundation models. B. Amazon Q Developer is an AI-powered coding companion, not a service for selecting and hosting general-purpose FMs. D. Amazon Recognition is a computer vision service for image and video analysis, not a host for text-based generative FMs. Watch for this clue in similar questions. When asked for a managed service that provides access to a variety of third-party and Amazon foundation models via a unified API, the answer is Amazon Bedrock. You have completed part 13 of the AIF-C01 exam practice series. Continue your preparation by opening the complete playlist and watching the remaining parts in sequence. Please like this video, subscribe to Tech with Kaushik, and enable notifications for more certification exam preparation content. Share your score, questions, or feedback in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next part.